Hey everybody, so today we are here with Gayatri as well as Tory, and we're talking about COVID-19 vaccinations. I know for one, speaking about myself, I am currently neutral on the entire topic, the entire movement, I will say, but being as though I am not vaccinated. However, I still function and I still follow guidelines to make sure that I am safe around myself, family, and when I'm working out in the field. But I feel as though I'm placed against the wall because I am required at this point to be fully vaccinated, not even one dose, just be fully vaccinated, have the actual passport or card, and then my work is limited. So just being forced to do something, I have a personal problem with that. It could just be me. I'm not sure about anybody else. But when it comes to being forced to do something, I sort of have more of a guard up. I am doing research, and I am, more so on the side to where it's like I'm considering it more because of my career, and of course my health, and not being selfish to the folks around me. But to that, Gayatri, what would you say?
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult decision for a lot of people because we are not used to having to make difficult choices like this about our preventive health care every day. I understand that, in different careers, there's different requirements. In my job, I've had to be vaccinated since I think August 1st. So I've also had the same kind of mandates. And coming up with what you believe about the vaccine is part of this process, but also understanding how that decision affects the people you're working with, the people you're living with, and your whole community is also really important. I'm not here to tell you to get vaccinated or not to get vaccinated, but I am here to encourage you to think about what those decision processes look like in your life.
Will do. And let's say on the case to where as though the decision hasn't been made, but my employer is saying, hey, because I have some employers who will say, you know what, if you prove that you are negative, you come work on set, that's perfectly fine. But then some that are like, no, absolutely not, we want you to be vaccinated. That is very discouraging.
Yeah.
Although it might seem to some people it's like a no-brainer. Do what you're told and be quiet and just blend into society as we are directing you to. But because I guess the free will that I have, it's like, well, the hesitation and the questions and the research and not talking to friends about it or family about it, but actually listening to experts, there's a very big difference. And you get facts mixed up when you're talking to folks who are basically ignorant versus professionals. Then I think though, like, well, the mind games start with me, and it's like, well, just because they're the professionals, this week they're telling me to do one thing, now next week they told me to do something totally different. So now I'm like, all right, well, am I going to really do it yet, or should I just wait? Is it a good thing to just wait,
But in terms of like you saying that they're making you doing it, first of all, the reason why they're saying to get vaccinated in a business standpoint, it would be liability if you were to walk in there with COVID, all their employers got it, that's a liability. So I would say go get it. Secondly, you're saying about freedom, you signed something when you worked for them. So technically you're not fully free since you're employed to do work for somebody else. And simply all they asked you to do was get a vaccine shot that you've gotten when you were a child. That's why you don't have polio and all these other dangerous diseases. Anybody
No,
else
because
have
I
something?
got to stop you right there.
Oh, go ahead.
So as it pertains to the vaccine, so my biggest, and let me be clear and say that I'm not anti-vax. I'm not telling anyone what they should or should not do. I feel as though you should do whatever is best for you. However, this vaccine is very new. The CDC are changing guidelines, like as Keith said earlier, like this week we're doing it this way, next week don't wear a mask, next month you do got to wear a mask. So my thing is like I don't quite know what to believe. And furthermore, when it comes to the vaccine, you're telling me to get vaccinated. One, I can still catch COVID. Two, I can still pass COVID alone. And three, you're telling me that I can possibly still die. So you got to make it make sense for me. Now, for me, this is a teachable moment because I don't know. So don't, before y'all start coming for me, and, you know, calling me out. I'm trying to get a better understanding of the importance of being vaccinated and why it's being forced for me to do.
So I just think it's important to first off say that you aren't being forced. No one is forcing you to. It feels like it because the more and more business environments are saying we don't want the risk. And that's really what the conversation has to come to is risk. And what you're saying about I can still get COVID, I can still die from COVID, that is again a question about risk. So you're saying I still have the risk of getting it, I still have the risk of dying from this. What the vaccine does is lowers that risk substantially. And that's why business environments are saying, okay, if there's an option to lower that risk and keep the people that we're employing safe, then we are going to want to do that. And that's really why these are things are getting linked. Now, the other question you brought up about the CDC changing guidelines, the changing guidelines have always been about masking. There has never been a change in guidelines around the vaccines. The vaccines have always been encouraged because once they were approved for emergency use and then they were FDA approved, which is really the gold stamp, there's no risk to getting these vaccines.
Okay, I hear you. But okay, so you're telling me to get, well, I'm saying it's being mandated that we have to get vaccinated. That is what the current state where it stands right now, we have to be vaccinated. But if I get vaccinated, why should I still have to wear a mask? Because remember, if I'm being vaccinated, my chances of catching COVID are supposed to be slim to none, correct?
Yeah.
That's what's being told to me. So why is it that if I get vaccinated, I still got to walk around with the mask? And also, how are people that are unvaccinated but still negative for COVID, how do they pose a threat to someone who's vaccinated and still negative? Because to my understanding, if I don't have something to pass to you, how can you catch something that I don't have?
That's a really good question. And it's
just
something,
want to ask for the people that, have these
it
same
is.
questions.
And I think that it's a question that we're still trying to answer in the scientific world. But the reason that we have to wear masks still, even when we are vaccinated, is because, again, of that risk question. So you mentioned someone that is COVID negative by a test, right? So let me just describe what a test does. What is a COVID test? What does it mean when you are COVID negative? What that means is that at that moment in time, when you took the test, that you didn't have any detectable level of virus in your body. Okay? The tests are really good now. The test can tell you whether or not you have COVID. But there is a period of time that it takes to analyze the test, right?
It takes 7 days?
It takes 3 days, it takes
3
5
days?
days, depending on where you get that test from. In that period of time, you can catch COVID. And you can catch COVID and spread COVID. So that's the first thing to think about with the test. The second thing is that the tests are only good for people that are able to get them on a regular basis. So if you are using a test from 2 weeks ago and saying, oh, I was COVID negative 2 weeks ago, that means nothing about where you are right now.
Okay, you can catch it in between that time.
Yeah.
I know
So, that's the first thing to answer. Then the second thing about the masks and I'm vaccinated, why do I need to keep masking? The actual vaccine trains your body to be able to fight against COVID, for sure. But there is still a chance that you can get COVID, and there's still a chance you can pass COVID. That chance is really low compared to people that are unvaccinated. But there's still a huge chance there.
See, I can say that even though everybody has their own, world that they're going to reside in and where they stand, but I don't mind doing the mask thing. Mm-hmm. I don't, because it's just like, I believe I read something that said like even the flu at some point was down. Like nobody really got sick because we were all keeping our germs to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it. It's like you do that, keep your mask on, even if you're vaccinated, because some folks feel like it's the cure and it's the one all be all. Like I'm invincible at this point, and that's not true. So you have a lot of false information that's being
Did
traveled.
y'all ever look at it too from this perspective, like? And again, I'm not against being vaccinated, let me constantly say that. But did y'all ever look at it from the perspective of they're pushing a vaccine on us? Because they are, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, they're pushing us to do this. But you can't even go to the doctor, like they're not even offering, you can't even get free health care.
So are you saying
Like you can't, I mean, think about that. You can't get free health care, but you can go to a school, a recreational center, a library, and you can get a free COVID vaccine that you're not 100% sure of if it's gonna be effective or non-effective. But I can't even go to the doctor if I get sick if I have no health insurance.
Is your worry based off the fact that the government is pushing it, or the fact that you think you're a doctor all of a sudden? Because
No, well,
if it's one way saying
I'm
it
not-
like,
I'm
oh,
not-
the
I'm not a
government is
doctor,
pushing it, I understand that
Okay.
because of what they've done to minority communities and so on and so forth. Good argument. But if you're saying it in another sense of like, oh, the government is doing this, they're trying to give us a virus, on and so forth.
I'm not saying that.
You've taken much worse in your body.
I'm not
I know that for a fact. You eat McDonald's, my guy. So
Okay, but wait
if
a
you
minute.
can put that in your
Because I'm not. But I'm
system,
not.
You
I'm
eat
not-
McDonald's?
I think you.
We get to that in a second. Wait a minute. I'm not saying the government is trying to give us a virus. I'm just saying make it make sense, because you can't even get free health coverage here in America. But they want to give you a free vaccine.
My question is, what's with the
I don't get
concern
it.
now?
That's what I'm saying.
Because you take a flu shot,
I don't get the flu shot.
you be spraying
and I
all
don't
this
get sick
fume
too
in your
often.
face, so on and so forth.
I'm
You
not
were
saying I
cool
won't,
with
but
that. You be taking down lean. You're cool with the alcohol, cigarette, weed. You're cool with that.
Well, I don't smoke
all of a
cigarettes,
sudden,
let me be clear.
you're the doctor now.
I don't smoke.
I mean, come on.
I can
That's
see
all I'm saying.
The
that.
whole day, I never said
I
I
can
was a
see
doctor.
that.
I just
I can
asked
see-
the,
I can
I just asked
understand.
the question.
I'm
though.
just saying the hypocrisy in it, as in you're making more concern now, when in the past,
Okay.
you were cool with everything
What about, like, the
else.
things you eat?
Okay,
Exactly.
Okay, because y'all going in a whole different.
But no, he has a point though, because it's like
Yeah.
with the hesitation on certain guidelines and certain mandates.
I'm not
whatever.
against it, though.
So you don't have to be against it, but if you think about it, because there are a lot of foods that you eat that are very processed and very terrible. We're not going to speak on McDonald's. You like it, you like what you love, but it's like
Listen.
a lot of things. You go to the grocery store, you don't look at all the packaging and read all the ingredients.
I'm gonna give you that.
But
Sugar, high.
but it's like with you pushing back so hard against something that somebody's trying to help you, we can see where it's sort of either contradicting itself or the whole hypocrisy in it.
So okay, so why is it when you say that you're unsure? Let's just say that I say I'm right now, and I'm saying I'm unsure about
Yes.
being vaccinated or getting the vaccine because I just have questions. Why is it that people be like, but you ain't vaccinated and you a threat and all that?
Because-
My thing is, like, I'm gonna be real with you. I went into a CVS a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with somebody, really had nothing to do with COVID, and she was like, are you here to get your, the vaccine? And I was like, I'm not. And she was like, but you're not vaccinated and you're putting people at risk. And I was like, I'm unsure. And it was like I was being attacked because I'm unsure. I just have questions and concerns.
Because-
I may be a little nervous that I could develop a health condition from this vaccine.
But you're putting it on a one-track mindset. If
Not
you put it on
necessarily- no,
everybody
I'm not. No,
else,
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay,
No, I'm
let's
not.
say you don't get the vaccine, right? Put it on their viewpoint. They got the vaccine. They're cool. You don't get it. You pass on the variant you have now to their kids. Now they have a problem that you started all because you didn't want to go get a shot.
Okay, but wait a minute, because I got to stop you right there.
All right.
I know people that are vaccinated and still caught COVID, and the symptoms were very severe.
And what's the percentage of that? Very low, right?
I mean, I don't know everybody that's vaccinated.
But it's
Well,
going to be
I do
low.
know the
Get like a rabies
percentage.
vaccine, you
The
still
bet-
get rabies.
Yeah, since the vaccines have been around, only 9% of all deaths from COVID have been among vaccinated people. 91% of deaths have been in unvaccinated people. Okay. So the amount of people that are dying that are unvaccinated is just 10 times higher than.
So, let me
Yeah.
ask you, do you feel as though it should be mandated that we take this vaccine?
I think that if you are working outside of your home, then it should be mandated that you are vaccinated because
I respect
of the
that.
risk.
I got a question though.
Go ahead.
What does your doctor say about you getting vaccinated?
Well,
Does your doctor have any reason for you not to get vaccinated?
not necessarily, but
So why don't you have the vaccination?
I just told you why I don't have the vaccine.
Because but if your doctor says it's okay for you to get it, or he doesn't.
Actually, my doctor did recommend it, but my doctor also said in the same sentence, I can't force you and make you do something that you
course he
may
can.
not necessarily want to do.
What are you worried about getting it for? If the doctor says you're clear to go, then what are you worried
I'm
about
just a
getting
little nervous, Tori.
What are you nervous about?
Maybe you're nervous because of the previous history this country has done, and
Yes,
that's
of
why I
course.
said-
so okay, so you can be hesitant, but just
I am
do
hesitant.
eventually do the research and bring someone fabulous like these two in who can speak to it. Especially, she's telling you the different numbers and everything, and I mean, it's like, all right, in one sense, yes, it feels like you're being forced, but in another sense,
we are.
like.
We are.
But then in another sense, like Fode was saying too, and it's obvious, it's blatant in our face, like we can put other people at risk if you are unvaccinated, and even if it's not a direct threat, it could be an indirect threat for the next situation, you know? So it's like, even if you don't get whatever your status is, if you do or you don't, protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you protect yourself and you do the best that you are able to do with the decision that you've made, then everything else should fall into place and you should be all right.
So let me ask you this. So, okay, you got to get vaccinated. You get 2 shots to be fully vaccinated. But now they're saying you got to get a booster shot. So my question is, okay, so now you got to be vaccinated, get a booster. Would I got to get a 4th booster?
It might be like a flu shot. You know how they got to keep updating that every couple of years, every year?
Isn't this something that they should know, or is it still is it an experiment?
Well, science is always evolving. I didn't mean to take that.
No, it is evolving. It is evolving. Yeah, it definitely is.
You get 2 shots, and now you're saying get a booster.
But I actually want to clarify something, which is that the booster shot is not an updated shot. It's the same thing that you got the first 2 times. They're just giving you the same thing again to make sure that your immune system is super strong and is able to continue making the fighter antigens in your system, fighter antibodies in your system.
Okay, what if you have natural immunity?
Natural immunity to COVID is a really evolving scientific area, because what we know is if you have gotten COVID, you are protected for a certain amount of time from getting COVID again. But that time is a lot shorter than with people that are fully vaccinated. Like every time we compare people that got COVID against people that have been vaccinated, the people that have been vaccinated, their immune systems are way stronger at protecting against getting COVID again than people that have natural immunity.
And you don't think at all that the pharmaceuticals, that they could be using this as an opportunity to profit?
They are using this as an opportunity to profit. That is definitely true.
So you don't see this as just their way, it's a money thing, a financial thing, financial gain? I mean, it is.
They have capitalized on a moment to make a lot of money. However, that doesn't change the fact that we need their medicines at the same time.
Okay.
I think a great way to think about it is like insulin for people that are diabetic, people that have need insulin every day pretty much, and the pharmaceutical companies, again, they capitalize on that, and they're charging $600 for vials of insulin.
Because you need it.
Because you need it. Fortunately, in America, we have free vaccines at least, and we have access to this. It's a privilege. In most of the world, it's not even offered in many parts of the world. In Africa, people aren't going to be able to get access to vaccines in Africa until 2023, the way that we have here.
Some of the countries actually hog it, like they hog or they just hold on to it or bank it or something like that. Bank the vaccine or hold on to it. Yeah. It's crazy.
They holding the vaccine hostage.
Yeah.
But if you live like a holistic lifestyle and you're into the herbs and everything like that, I know I am, but at the same time, like I said, you still want to make sure your immunity is up and everything like that too, science-wise, but to each his own.
I respect, I mean, sometimes I understand we have to agree to disagree. And again, I'm not against the vaccine. I'm just really unsure. I'm just super nervous because I don't want to get sick. I don't want the doctor to come back and say, well, because you took this, now you have this health issue.
Right,
Or now that's going to happen. That's mainly what I'm worried about. So what do you say to someone such as myself who's unvaccinated and I'm frightened by this vaccine? Like, what would your advice be to me?
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand what's actually in the vaccine. Like, what actually are they putting in you? What are you putting in your body? And I think that it's important to understand that what they're putting in this vaccine is basically a way to teach. It's an instruction manual to your cells. It's an instruction manual that teaches your cells that this is what COVID is. And if you have to protect our body from COVID, this is what you have to make. And that is actually a part of COVID is in that vaccine, in the sense that you're teaching your body how to make the antibodies against it. So there really isn't anything that you need to be concerned that they're adding to this vaccine or ways, like things that are in it that are going to cause future health problems. Even though this vaccine is relatively new in the sense that it's been in trial for a year, they've actually done what a longitudinal study is basically like over that entire time, like they had this vaccine ready like pretty much in I think like June or July. Like they've been testing it on people since June or July of 2020. So it's been been available for testing for a lot longer than it's been available to you and I to get it. And so they've tested tens of thousands of people with this, and they have not seen a statistically significant amount of any complications that are important. And if they do see it, they stop it immediately and they contact the people that they're concerned about. So like, I don't know if you remember with people that were pregnant, there was this whole thing of like, oh, is it okay for pregnant women to get vaccinated?
Because Johnson & Johnson had some issues
Yeah,
with theirs.
but they actually realized that that actually isn't a problem for pregnant women. And they were able to recommend the vaccine again to pregnant women after looking back at the data and looking back at thousands of pregnant women to see if it was safe or not.
Oh.
So.
You know what? My perspective has somewhat changed after having a discussion because again, I guess when you know better, you do better. But again, I am still hesitant. I'm still nervous, but I do honestly feel like I don't have really much of a choice to turn it down and say no.
Yeah.
So I mean, I
got one more thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
So maybe I'm thinking now, like after hearing all this, like because maybe they're forcing the vaccine on us or mandating it because we're in a pandemic at this point.
That's true.
And you know, if we don't do anything about it now, the pandemic's just going to get larger, and people are going to die, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We're in a pandemic. We're literally at a world's end right now. So.
A lot of people have died.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans have died. A lot of people all over the world have died.
Yep.
So what would you say, Gayatri, in terms of, so I know you kind of just answered the question, but what advice would you give to people just in general as it pertains to the vaccine? There are so many people, such as myself, that just they're frightened and they don't know what to do. They don't know which direction to go in. So what advice can you give them?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important for people to think about what they're nervous about. Think about why they're nervous about those things. And it could be that they have had bad experiences with doctors before, they've had bad experiences with the healthcare system. And if that is the case, I'm really sorry that happened. And I also have had terrible experiences too. However, that doesn't change the fact that we are in a pandemic, and this vaccine is a promise really to your future. Like it's an opportunity to make sure that you can continue living life and continue keeping your community safe. Making sure you have that is really important right now, because we're about to enter into a new phase of life where masks are probably going to come off and people are going to be out there. People are going to be out wearing, whatever they want, and they're going to be vaccinated, and there's going to be people that are unvaccinated. If you are part of the unvaccinated people, you are at much higher risk of getting COVID and dying. That is the simple line.
Simple answer.
Yeah. And so, all of the anxieties and the worries around it, make sure you understand where those are coming from, but don't let that affect your judgment too much, because there's going to be a future where we all have to live and be safe, and that means everyone needs to be able to be safe with a vaccine.
Okay.
And we need to stop taking our advice from Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not getting advice from Facebook.
Because they're not doctors either.
No, yeah, Facebook is not a good. They literally are planting misinformation.
Yeah, just making up stuff.
Yeah.
What's the thing called? What's the thing called when you
What?
Where like they make up like ideas or so of how this happened. Why did you do
Conspiracy?
this? Yeah,
Conspiracy.
I was about to say hypothetical.
I was trying.
I'm like, what is he
Yeah,
saying?
conspiracy.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I do appreciate the advice
Yes.
and the new information and the knowledge. Again, for me, this is a teachable moment because I had a lot of questions. I do appreciate both of you coming to the table to not only educate me, but everyone who has the same questions. So on that note, I guess we got to do what we got to do.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.